Actually, I quit playing basketball when I was like 13, 14, and I was here for like 6 months. And then my dad needs to convince my trainer to put me back in basketball. So
He's already a pro. That's what Magic Johnson keeps saying now. And Shaq, he's presenting championship belts and calling him the best by far. But 5 years ago, most of those same legends didn't believe in Nikola Jokic at all. Then something shifted. Something huge. And now the entire basketball world has to admit they were dead wrong about the center position. This is the story of how one player forced the old guard to completely rethink everything. Let me rewind to June 2014, draft night. Nikola Jokic's name scrolls across the screen, but a Taco Bell commercial for a Quesarito is playing at the exact same time. His name gets buried under a fast food advertisement. He's pick 41. The sports world is obsessed with Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker. And Denver's second-round pick? He's blocked by a burrito advertisement. If you haven't already, please tap the hype feature right now and give this video some hype. I'd really appreciate it. Let's get this story the recognition it deserves, because what happens next is absolutely wild. When Jokic showed up in Denver, even his own teammates weren't sure what they had. Randy Foye didn't even notice who Denver drafted because of the commercial break. When he finally saw Jokic in person, Foye thought he was good. But greatness? He didn't see it. Danilo Gallinari recognized something unique about Jokic's game, but he honestly didn't think this slow, unpolished Serbian would become the best player on the planet. The guy looked out of shape. He moved heavy. He didn't jump. He didn't look like an NBA player was supposed to look. The national critics took it further. Stephen A. Smith said the first word everyone thinks about with basketball players is athleticism, and Jokic, he had none of it. Jokic was slow, flat-footed. Smith said he couldn't even jump onto a curb. The old guard had built their understanding of basketball around physicality.
You had to be a freak athlete to be great. You had to jump. You had to be explosive.
So when this chunky kid from Serbia showed up, they all said the same thing. This guy doesn't fit. Jokic knew what they were saying. They didn't believe in the fat boy. Don't bet against the fat boy. He understood he needed to change his body to compete at the highest level. His coach Michael Malone noticed. Jokic committed to losing weight and conditioning. But even as he improved physically, people still didn't believe in what he could become. Then came August 2020, a game against Greg Popovich's San Antonio Spurs. Jokic had 25 points and 11 assists. He played maybe a quarter inch off the ground the entire night. Popovich watched it happen and understood something everyone else was missing. He told people that Jokic reminded him of Larry Bird, a reincarnation. Popovich had coached against the original Bird. He built dynasties.
He knew what greatness looked like, and he saw it in Jokic. He's like a 7-foot Larry Bird.
Jokic does everything. He steps out and makes threes. He rebounds. He passes like no big man he'd ever seen. Pop even joked that the NBA should make a rule against Jokic tapping the ball to himself on rebounds. This was a legend saying the quiet part out loud. The lack of athleticism everyone criticized, that wasn't a flaw. It was a different kind of mastery. Jokic had touch and coordination that let him control the game through genius instead of explosiveness. Other legends started agreeing. Isaiah Thomas called him a basketball genius. Stephen Curry pointed out that Jokic proved basketball could be a skill game like baseball. You don't need to be the most athletic guy on the floor if you master the fundamentals better than everyone else. But the real moment of surrender came from Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq had been gatekeeping the center position for years. He was the president of the Big Man Alliance. Membership was strict. You needed a championship. You needed a finals MVP. You needed to strike fear physically. 3 things. That was the deal. Then 2023 happened. The Nuggets won the championship. Jokic won finals MVP. And Shaq officially welcomed Jokic to the Big Man Alliance. He had a custom championship belt made. He called him the Dun Dada of big men. The best big man in the league by far. Smarter than everybody else. Shaq even suggested he'd remove his own name from the all-time list of great centers to make room for Jokic. That's surrender. That's the old guard saying, we got it completely wrong. Now people were fixing the other mistakes about Jokic, especially on defense. Everyone said he was a liability because he couldn't jump and meet guys at the rim. But Jokic plays defense completely differently. He calls it the Cookie Monster approach. His incredible hands create steals and deflections. His court vision lets him read every play before it happens. He hedges, he shifts, he makes guards change their reads in the pick and roll. Charles Barkley called whoever did that a damn idiot. When Jackson admitted it, he called it an absolute mistake. Jokic was one of the greatest players in history, a top 10 center all time. Lou Williams had to eat his words too. He said Karl Anthony Towns was more skilled than Jokic. Then, Williams admitted he was absolutely wrong.
Wild take, he said. Patrick Ewing said he would have loved to battle Jokic in his prime. Those two could play in our era, Ewing said. That's enormous, coming from a legend who played in the toughest basketball era. David Robinson was far superior as a defender, but Jokic's playmaking? Superior by a long shot. He's the greatest playmaking center by a long shot. The modern era rarely saw that from a center position. Jokic stands at the top of the all-time PER leaderboard, ahead of Michael Jordan, ahead of LeBron James. He joined Wilt Chamberlain and Oscar Robertson as the only players ever to record 2,000 points, 900 rebounds, and 600 assists in one season. He's the only player who led an entire playoff run in points, rebounds, and assists at the same time. Hakeem said Jokic has the touch, the footwork, and the vision. Bill Walton called him the ultimate team player. Kevin Durant called him a mastermind. LeBron said one of the best players ever.
Magic Johnson said he's doing things Magic used to do. Change the center position forever. Charles Barkley cut to it. Best player in the world, period. Centers aren't going to be judged by how high they can jump anymore. They're going to be judged by how much of the court they can see, by how smart they are, by how many different ways they can hurt you. That's the legacy Nikola Jokic forced on the league while everyone else was watching a Taco Bell commercial. He's already a pro. The legends finally understand that now. They changed their minds. They admitted they were wrong, and they crowned him one of the greatest to ever do it. Which Legends quote hit you hardest? Drop it in the comments. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we break down basketball history like nobody else. Thanks for watching. Hype appreciated.